Hey guys, can I have a second?
All of the remaining hits are going to be trash
I
because
just,
the map is just
got
like,
some
well,
things that need
there's nothing you
saying.
can do.
Well,
To go for like
it's in the way I saw
like
it.
4Ks or something. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to leave you.
Yeah, the other thing is like momentum, like in terms of morale, I'd say. I don't know. It's definitely something like with the way the game works, where it's like you're not playing in a. It's something I was thinking about fucking earlier. Like the way CS works is it's just like you're thrown into a fucking map. You've got, you know, your points that you're basically holding, right? That's all you're really, like, for the most part, doing.
Yeah. Well, CS. I think the reason CS is infinitely like more interesting as an esport than Left 4 Dead is that with the utility, you can come up with so many viable plays that you can never be prepared for them all, and it's always unique. Or, yeah, there's like standard hits and stuff, but you can like something unique will happen almost every game in some maps. Where Left 4 Dead is, it's just maybe that'll happen every once in a while, but it doesn't have nearly as much potential for a unique play.
Like, I feel like that comes down to, like, just bad map design, frankly.
Left 4 Dead
for Left 4
definitely has
Dead.
an issue with bad map design. The maps are clearly not designed.
But, like, the concept of, like, a game where you're, generally speaking, the idea is to continually move. You know, that's just something that personally, like, I prefer so much more, because it's like, again, the way CS works is just, I don't know, it's just too slow paced for me. I don't want to be like just sitting there like watching something. Like you're confined into this specific area and that's all you're really moving around in. Whereas Left 4 Dead, you're moving forward. You're like not like sitting any specific spot.
Well, there is like you can get a, like that's the thing about Counter-Strike is like you have to make progress over the course of the round if you're on T side, right? Like you're gonna be pushing forward as T side slowly. Like obviously that might be your issue. You're pushing forward slowly. You have to make progress. You have to clear everything. You have to slowly make way towards both sites, like so they don't know what shot you're gonna hit. And then like you throw down all your utility and you hit the site last 20 seconds of the round and it's a huge fucking brawl. That's generally how like a standard CS round goes. And like I don't know, it's as CT you can get into pretty forward positions and there's just unique ways to play the round every time. And I don't know, it's in Left 4 Dead it just seems like I'm playing the same game and like you make one tiny mistake and all of a sudden, like I said, it's a snowball game. Like sometimes the mistakes are so dumb in Left 4 Dead, like you get stuck on a little ledge and a charger gets a charger. It's like, okay, well now I'm dead and now the game's over. It just feels like the game is so punishing for some of the dumbest things sometimes, which is one of the most frustrating things about playing Left 4 Dead versus. I mean, of course the same thing can happen in CS, but it's the maps are a lot more well designed and the game.
Oh yeah, they're maps that are made for competitive and they've been like worked on for years and years and years and years. Unfortunately, Valve refused to like.
Well, I mean, you can clearly look at the designs of the maps. Like in Left 4 Dead 1, I even think Turtle Rock probably threw in Versus as like a slapstick idea halfway through fucking.
No, Left 4 Dead 1, apparently, I don't know, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was originally only PvP.
Oh, well then, it feels like when they were designing the maps, they did not know how to design a PvP, because
I'm gonna be honest, I think they just, they aren't, like, competitive people. So, I don't think they know how to design good maps.
They just designed a map that they thought looked cool, and they didn't care about any like the actual like, oh, where are the infected gonna spawn? Like I feel like they genuinely didn't think about any of that.
Yeah, I will definitely like. I don't know.
Obviously, the issue isn't direct balance.
I don't know though. It depends. Sometimes some of the maps are okay.
Obviously, there's a direct balance. Both teams play both sides. Obviously, it'll be balanced. Other than the team who goes first, obviously gets more information if they're. I don't know which one. Whoever goes first on whatever side gets the advantage. Who gets the information they get on Survivor. But I think that's minor enough that it's not a big deal.
Where you all
Because
at?
people argue for the motivation factor in CS, because maps are sometimes like, oh, this map's CT sided, so the CT should get an advantage, which means technically if you get to play CT first and you get more rounds on that side, then you feel more morale, right? And people argue for that advantage in Counter-Strike. I just think the main issue with Left 4 Dead, again, is that it's so boring to play infected. The maps, it's poor map design, it's maybe poor infection design, it could be across the board, but it's just as infected. The options are so limited that you don't get to be unique. You just do the hits and hope that the survivors fuck up. It could be a tiny mistake, like a really dumb, like it could be a really dumb player, it could be anything, but you kind of just do the hits in the standard places. Maybe you have a couple options, like, but generally it's gonna be the same idea.
Let's get inside the stadium. I have an idea.
Which is why it's cool, I guess, when you're watching the comp tournaments to see the custom maps being played too. But, I don't know.
I'm gonna beat that tank's ass.
Yeah, what was it?
I don't say it's just
I quite
that.
like the... Not Dice Scriper,
I'm opening the gate.
oh, I kinda like both, Hard Rain and Connie Remix.
This shit'll help.
And that might just be due to the fact that I hadn't played them as much as other maps. But like, those maps feel long, like, they're much longer than like normal Left 4 Dead maps too, which allows you to like actually kill the survivors over time.
What I wish, I think, and what like now that I think my major complaint with Left 4 Dead 2 is I wish there was something you could do as infected, or like some kind of even small hope or something, some kind of tiny potential, anything in some areas of the map. Like, as of now, it just requires bad players or bad positioning on their part. Like, if they're just together, there are some areas of the map where you can't do anything. There's no spawn points, like. And again, if you just make spawn points everywhere, it's gonna be a fucking shit show, because the maps are gonna be just basically hallways with fucking cubbies everywhere. So you can't just do that. I don't know.
I hit it.
So like, obviously Left 4 Dead already has that basis of you're gonna reach a point, like a point in the map that it's quite obvious this is where you should hit, because this is a fucking, like, it's the ladder on Fairgrounds, or it's the coaster on Coaster, just that area in a map. I just wish that they could design those areas in a way where you had so many options there and you have no idea what's coming. Generally, you get the coaster and it's like, well, will I die to this charger at the top today? Like, it's not interesting, it's just, I know what's gonna happen, will I survive?
Case in point about snipers and realism, by the way. Like, look how fucking dumb this is. Takes 3 shots. What a joke.
I think playing Survivor in Left 4 Dead is fun as hell. Like, playing the Survivor side of it is fun as hell. Then you get to Infected, and I cannot bring myself to care. There's just nothing interesting about it to me, which is why I've just never been into Versus. It just feels like it's a bunch of meta knowledge and very minor mechanics.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no strategy planning. It's just meta knowledge.
And I don't know, strongers are charge in like the right chargers are strong in the right situation, but I don't think they're like a shitload stronger than other infected, honestly.
I don't want to nerf chargers. That's the one fucking interesting SI in the game. like, if I'm gonna get excited playing versus, it's when I get charger. Like, that's the only time I feel like I'm having some fun as infected. All the other SI are boring as shit. Rework all of them. So Smoker's is probably the second best, but Smoker again is, I don't know, not nearly as good. I don't know. It's hard to say what the problem is, but maybe you could. Well, it's the only one. It's not even like skill or anything. I think Charger is the only SI that can make a play.
What do you mean by a play though?
Like it can do something unique. It could mess with this like the survivors. You can actually just make a play or set up a situation. You can't do that with any other SI. It's just hit them.
I think chargers are the easiest one to do that. Like, oh, you can get a double charge or something, which can fuck.
Well, not just like I don't mean like installation. It's just like separation plays or just controlling.
Jockeys are really good if you get in the right. Like, I don't know. I think maybe chargers are the least situational, is what you mean, but like. You can definitely make plays with the others.
What I want to say is, like, yeah, you can make plays with all the SI, but it's based around map areas, I think, almost 90% of the time. With the Charger,
it's based around situations. Like, I don't know if you watched our,
I think the Charger, in my opinion, is like the only SI, I shouldn't say the only, but is the one with definitely the only reasonable amount of potential to make a play in a bad area of the map, where SI shouldn't be able to do it. Like, Boomer is completely worthless in a bad area of the map, right? Like, you're just gonna get killed. Spitter, obviously Spitter just reacts to what the other SI do. In very rare occasions, they can use to separate players and stuff, but that's usually like punishing a mistake rather than making a play. I think that Chargers are generally the only ones that can make a play in like any situation. Like you could be a Charger and you have the potential to do something almost anytime.
I think Hunters can be a good distraction. I still think Jockeys like.
I don't think Hunters make a play.
I think
Jockeys I think have the potential to make a play as well. So do Smokers, but I think both of those have much less potential than Chargers. Like,
I think the issue is Hunters are more a distraction than anything.
Yeah, I mean I'm not saying it's bad that they exist. I'm just saying
like Hunters are easily the weakest, I think. Like the Hunters are like 90% of the time you're wall kicking and like getting someone really close to like open a hit and kind of try and disorient people.
Yeah, and most of the time that a Hunter very good. I don't know. It just feels like Charger is the only one with the potential to cause mayhem, you know, in the middle of what you shouldn't be anything. You can't.
I guess the Charger
definitely isn't the biggest playmaker out of any of the SI.
I think Charger has the most potential, like in I don't know, because you've got death charges, you can separate people, and even if you just hit someone into a fucking wall really close, you're getting spit damage or like 10, 15.
And then
like,
on top of this, like the Charger's pressure alone, like you can even just the fact that they know you have a Charger, you're sitting at the top of the coaster, like all of a sudden they can't move anymore, and you can kind of control them. Like,
you can do that with Smoker.
Yes,
even Jockey.
In some areas, but like Charger always has the potential at almost every like hit point. charger's just always a monster.
Cough,
at every
cough,
hit point,
swamp
and then
fever.
on top of that, when you're not at like a critical hit point, yeah, I mean open areas. I think in general against a good team, almost every SI is useless though, but not just charger.
True.
That's one of my like swamp fever is kind of a meme for that reason. I don't think open areas should really exist in the game, to be honest.
I think open areas need to exist, but not completely open areas
Okay,
like
well,
swamp.
like, yeah, swamps are really bad designed, and there's like certain rooms that shouldn't exist, like the barn's tank holdout room. Like, why is that room so open? There should be like some shit in there to work around.
I think that's one of those fucking areas where like they just didn't add any detail to it because they were just rushed. Like I think there's so many fucking areas you can look in Left 4 Dead 2 maps, and it's like there's just nothing there. It's like just bland.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like fucking maps like Mall are just like, why is all this shit here? Like, it's just not thought out.
Yeah, Mall is just like, you know, a bunch of open areas connected by like a few corridors. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
But at least with Mall compared to like Swamp Fever, there's always places to spawn. Kind of. I don't know, like that entire section at the beginning of Mall where it's connecting like the one area to the other, that area always seemed really fucking dumb to me. In Versus. Like, why am I there?
Which area? Connecting to the other.
Once you go down the like right where we do Mall, like the boost to get up to start Mall Wharfs.
Oh, that.
That area under there, and you go down the escalator to the one up. That area is like why? I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't. It's just such a. I mean, there's a ton of random shit in there at least, so it's like not the worst thing in the world.
That's where you fight tanks, generally,
yeah,
I'd
it's
say.
still a great area, like a great anti-infected area because of how open it is. I don't know. I mean, obviously the survivors need areas that they're not just gonna fucking die in, otherwise infected will just be so fucking frustrating to fight against. You're just gonna get whittled down. But it's just like you need to balance it in a better way than it is in the game. Just the maps are just so fucking poorly designed. You need to find that balance, and the game obviously never went through the phase where it was getting updates to ever find that balance.
Well, there's also the issue that Valve just did not view Left 4 Dead as a competitive game, so they weren't concerned about that kind of shit. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I probably would have agreed with them unless they found a way to make infected more interesting to play. If they found a way to make infected more interesting to play, the survivor is already fun as fuck. Like, just playing as infected in Left 4 Dead is so that's just the takeaway here.
I don't even think it's boring, it's just not at high level satisfying enough.
Yeah. Once you get good at it, it gets incredibly boring, is what I'm saying. It doesn't
Like,
feel
you're
there's a high
hoping for a hunter to... Well, yeah, I don't think the infected have skill caps at all,
I don't think
frankly.
there's a
Like,
high skill cap or high
hunters are probably the highest skill cap in terms of mechanics. Like, but you've got chargers, which are pretty much, you know, a matter of timing and praying that you hit them. Like, I don't know. Jockeys, it's the same situation. I don't know.
Yeah, infected is like, yeah, there's not a high skill cap. It's generally, I think, almost like probably at a high level, pretty much based on your shot color. Like, just timing everything right, and your team's coordination kind of being smart. And again, infected, like as far as it goes, it's just all it almost feels like when you hop into a versus pub and you're just fucking playing alone. What are you doing on infected? You're just watching your teammates and trying to hit at the same time as them. It's brain dead. I don't know.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know. Spitters, like, literally are just reliant on other affected.
They're literally just punishers. Like, okay, like someone made a mistake or someone got caught, and you just punish them. That's what a spitter does. It's not like a playmaker at all. Very rarely. There could be a fringe scenario where you get to spit a
Well, the
section.
maps aren't designed in a way where, like one tank fight actually on Dark Carnival Remix. Basically, it's like the Tunnel of Love, but generally the survivors are positioned in an area where they're gonna be running backwards, and what you could do as a spitter is like spit on them as they're going back, and with the damage it does in competitive, like you can do a shitload as the tank's like going in and fuck them really badly.
Yeah. I mean,
But like
I don't
the
know that
maps
even
aren't designed in a
qualifies.
way where like there's corridors and the survivors are going backwards, so that doesn't matter. The scavenge finales are the only other. But even scavenge finales at high level, spitters aren't burning cans, frankly. Like, unless the survivors fuck up tremendously, that doesn't happen. Like, I don't know, like,
Yeah, but
from
one
the
of my major
scrims that we
complaints about
did.
this, I also don't consider either of those making a play, because it almost feels like that's what you should do, or what you have to do as spitter, if you ever get the chance to spit them on the way back. Like, it's like, you're punishing them for their... I don't even know what they're doing, dude. You're just punishing them because they need to go that way. And the other one, you're punishing them for their bad can. Like management.
Well, it can be because you get a good hit or something, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, on HM that doesn't happen too often, but
again,
like...
it's just a punish. You're not making a play. You're not starting anything. Like,
Oh yeah, no.
punishing. That's what spitter does. It only punishes. You're never gonna be the one like causing the man. You're gonna be just taking advantage of the man. So like, that's generally just spitter. It's just very to watch what's happening for the punish whatever. Which is a bad thing. I think spitter is actually it's definitely it's like all of them are like that. It's Charger's the only one that you're really looking to make a play, and the others you're kind of just watching, waiting for the chance to punish. That's why it's so boring to me. I don't know.
I'm not a violent man. I ain't stupid either. Let's grab some weapons.
I don't want Spitter to make... I think Spitter's actually one of the... probably the best designed punishing SI in the game. And Charger is probably just the best SI in the game. Like funnest to play and most playmaking potential. Because it can punish, it can make a play, it can do a lot. Like Charger has a lot of... just the overall most versatility, I think, as an SI.
I think boomers are also relatively
Yeah, boomers are
higher skill than a lot of the infected.
I also think
Because it requires pretty good positioning.
I think two of my major complaints with Versus, honestly, are probably the Hunter and the Jock. And the Smoker, even. It just feels like they're just weaker Chargers. I don't know.
Well, Hunter's just not... I don't know. Hunter just dies. Like, I don't know. They're like not tanky enough to where they can really do much.
That
and they're like a
game,
relatively...
you can melee them. It's like, why? Why can you melee them?
Oh yeah, dead stopping Hunters just kind of makes them pathetic.
In the main game, they're literally useless.
It's again one of those things where I don't think like they... I don't know, it's one of those things where frankly, like, I feel like game devs don't tend to be good at their games, and so like the way they design their mechanics are around like not great players. Like,
Yeah,
and like at high level, it just results in kind of poor balance.
It's not even as much as a charger walking up and punching someone after missing a charge. 2Cs. That's the shit. Like,
Yeah, and well, the thing is with hunters, like, yeah, it takes the most skill, probably, I'd say. Wow,
yeah, but
amazing.
you're not getting rewarded for it at all.
Because it's like, you either get a DP or you're, like, likely doing nothing unless the survivors are, like, taking a year to clear you.
Like, yeah, Hunter can punish a separation, but at a high level versus, that's not gonna happen. Like, if you ever just, like you'll see it in, like, casual versus, Hunter will just get to fucking kill someone. That's because the team is playing with them more. But that's not even like the Hunter. Like, any SI that can catch people can do that. A smoker, anything. Like, jockey.
But you better help us.
Like, genuinely, in, like, competitive versus, one of the best things a Hunter is for killing a downed person during, like, a tank fight when they're separated. Like, that's kind of a joke. I don't know.
Coming.
Oh my god, I'm retarded. Fuck, move.
Like, a lot of the time, as Charger, you just fucking... Yeah, maybe if there's one thing to nerf about Charger, it'd be his scratch damage. I think it's kind of ridiculous that Charger is as versatile as it is, and then on top of that, when it fucking whiffs, it doesn't do anything. It can still walk up and scratch you once for 10 damage. Like, that is kind of dumb.
Well, yeah, especially if he stumbles you, it's like...
Yeah.
Because chargers
like,
can grab you, they can stumble you, they can scratch you, and they're all, like, effective strategy. Like, there was, like, the death toll level 4 choke point.
Thing I can think of for Charger, like, make his scratch do 10 damage, which is fine, because sometimes it's like... But, like, what about after he charges? Like, if he just misses the charge and doesn't hit anyone, I think for, like, a time period, he shouldn't do 10 damage from scratch. I don't think...
Why not just make him stumble longer or something?
Oh, that too. Like, some kind of, like, punish thing, just... I don't know, making him stumble longer is kind of boring. You want the player to have fun.
I ain't shooting it.
I don't know, adding, like, non-playable time is always...
I don't know, not being able to scratch doesn't sound like a good way to handle it though either.
Well, make him able to scratch, but just do it less damage. Like, make it like 5 or something. I don't want you to whiff and then walk up and hit someone for 10, 10, 10. Like, you just fucking made a mistake. Why are you getting rewarded? I don't know.
Sure.
Whereas, like Hunter, it's like, you played perfectly and you're likely gonna just get fucking one-shot. Like, it's... It's kind of a ridiculous gap in his way. Hunter's just fucking trash. Jockey in a lot of situations is trash. Like, in any situation...
Jockey is like, if you can pull people away from their teammates and it's like fucking godlike, but like...
Yeah, I mean...
If you can't do that, that's shit. Like,
most
fucking...
of the time you can do that, honestly, it's because of a charger playmake or because...
Like, some of, like, the matches that we played...
Honestly, that'd
like,
be much
the
reasonable.
jockeys during tanks, like, every time I would get a jockey, like, basically what I would always go for is I would look for someone who is, like, not close to their team, and they're close to somewhere I can, like, pull them over, and they can't be cleared quickly. Because then the tank can come over and cover me, and it's like, well, this guy's fucking downed. Which then, again, like, once something like that happens, like, the pace of the game changes drastically in favor of the infected. Generally speaking,
Somebody else is gonna have to kill him.
And it's like, situations like those, jockey's fucking great, but that's
Yeah,
situational.
I mean, they're all extremely situational. That's what I'm saying, like, it's so snowbally. Like, let's say you just have a game where that situation never comes up. I feel like a lot of the time, you could play the same team like 30 times, and if you guys are like semi-similar skill, but one team's clearly better, the team that's like worse will probably win a decent amount of the games just because of chance, like chance situations. It's such like on a dime maneuvers. Like the game
Wait,
switches
hold
on
on,
its
say?
entire. The game's like it's so snowbally that the pace of the game switches on a dime.
Hey,
Like one tiny
anyone out
mistake,
there?
it's kind of ridiculous. That's why again I think that's one of the problems with ever being a competitive game. Is like the pace or the momentum of the game. Fucking all of a sudden, the survivors are going fine. They're going. One big hit happens, and infected are just crushing for the rest of the game. Whereas in the next game, you do the same thing, but that big hit fails, and the survivors just walk through the map, and it looks like it was easy. And you never really know how good the other team actually was, or like what went wrong.
Got it.
It's hard to say
shit.
honestly a lot of the time, like what actually went wrong as infected. Like it's like, where did we make a mistake? Did we even make a mistake? Like it almost feels like it's relying on the survivors making a mistake.
got it.
A lot of the time.
It's definitely reliant on the survivors a lot of time. I mean, it's
But
kind of one of
my
those things
issue-
where
one
it's
of my
like,
issues with
if
that
the
is, like,
survivors are just better than you, you're,
one.
I don't know,
yeah, that's
you're,
my
you're
issue
kind
with
of
Infected
fucked.
and Left 4 Dead.
Unless you
Don't
can like
have-
pull off some like really crazy plays on infected, but
You just
that's
don't have many playmaking options
I
as
got it.
Infected, in my opinion, which is why Infected is so boring. It's just usually almost like
I got
at
this
least
one.
like 80% of the time, or way more often than any other competitive game. It's just punishing.
I got one.
You're watching them and you're punishing mistakes. You're very rarely
this
making
one.
them make mistakes, or if you are, it's like
I
usually
got it.
Charger doing it.
Got it.
Sometimes Boomer, I guess.
Where you all at? Got it. Let's go. Found a gas can.
It's not a super random thing. I know that. We talked about that.
Hurry up. Hurry up.
But
shit.
generally,
This ain't
I
gonna
think
be good.
it has to happen at critical areas, Chick. And the thing is, like, generally, it's not always skill that decides it. Like a lot, like there are times where you can lose a match because a charger connects with you when it shouldn't have, or it does, and it's because you fucked up a tiny little movement thing. And on a dime, that's the game. You just lose the game because you got charged. That's like just how Left 4 Dead is.
well, that's why I don't like Dead Center 1. Legitimately, I don't like Dead Center 1 purely because it's like Death Charge Central, and it's like as soon as one of those happens, boom. It's you're gonna wipe somewhere, most likely, at least.
Yeah.
Like on a competitive game, like you're
Yeah,
definitely gonna wipe if
it's
they get
not
death.
even like you
Well,
can say
not
the player like if you win on Dead Center 1, I genuinely think that's barely like
Anything in those houses?
99%, or I shouldn't say 99, but a lot of the time, like 80% of the time, if it's just off a death charge, that probably doesn't tell you you were better than them. It was just the situation aligned in that time, and you got a death charge and they didn't. Like, a lot of the time, that's like maps like that. That's how Versus is. Like it's not even like a matter of skill. It's just this team got the death charge, this team did. Next game, probably the same teams play, and the situation might reverse.
Game on, baby.
I mean, I do think there is
Obviously, yes.
skill to like understand or like
But I just think it happens too often in Left 4 Dead. Not saying the skill doesn't matter at all. Like obviously, if you're way better than the other team, you'll still win pretty consistently. But
oh yeah, I mean that's why like fucking Fragford Pub Stores Rehab, whatever their name is now. Hey, like they've
All about
been winning. I don't know for how long. Like for generally speaking, my understanding is like they've been winning the tournaments for like a while now. Like they're considered the best team.
yeah, but
that's
to
my
an extent, it is random because
nice adrenaline.
the mistakes in Left 4 Dead can be ridiculous. Like you can't control the mayhem that's going on during a hit all the time.
Into the drainage.
And one
Hold
guy
Hey, we all right, y'all.
tries to go past the window
We
and
made it.
nicks the side of it, and the charger connects. Like that's something that the player's not bad
That's-
for that. That's just like a fringe. It happens too often. I'm not saying that. Or like one common that you don't see comes in and just blocks you, and now you're fucked. The charger charges you. But I'm saying that's one of the problems. I'm not saying it's a bad thing with the game. It's how Left 4 Dead is. But I'm saying that's why it's not extremely competitive, in my opinion. Is ready to flop on a dime. The chances to make mistakes are so high that if two teams are equal skill, a lot of the time it's not playmaking that will decide the game. It's something absolutely ridiculous that will decide the game. Like just a fucking fringe scenario that'll be really dumb. Like, no one will get to make a great play. Nothing will be really cool. It'll be one guy getting death charged because he fucking got caught on a common because he was.
Well, I think you're also thinking in a way where the scoring system is shit.
Was already in an animation and didn't get melee or something, you know.
I don't know, I think generally, like, at least with the scoring system in competitive, that doesn't happen very often. I think it might happen... Fuck, I didn't check that. I think there's the morale momentum issue though. Like, if someone gets death charge, I don't think the team is gonna be, or like, if you take a really bad hit, it just kinda, I don't know. It feels like it's really hard to pick up, like, where you were, if that makes sense.
When to take that statement doesn't mean anything.
Damn,
like, I know that.
Can't be all that's left.
I'm not saying that you can't
Where
get
you
really
all
good at
at?
Left 4 Dead. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not saying that it's completely random. Like, a really bad team could beat a good team. That's not the case. I'm just
Hey,
complaining
anyone
at like
out
a peak level.
what we got
Playing
here?
as infected
Ain't nothing. You good?
doesn't have playmaking potential. Like you say, the survivors create a scenario. They don't have the tools, or no, the infected create a scenario. They don't have the tools to create unique scenarios. You watch competitive versus, it'll be the same hit points. They'll hit in the same spots on each side, and it is like there's only certain.
It's
areas
pretty
that
much
have to be hit,
perfecting your
and it'll
executions of the
it'll
hits.
it'll almost look like the same hit, depending on the SI they have. But like, basically, depending on your SI and whatnot, you'll know what you're doing at certain areas
Oh
before the
my
match
god,
starts.
no way.
Like you're not coming up with stuff on the fly. You're not making. I mean, you can be, of course, and generally that's what you're doing in the bad areas. But for like the big areas, you probably have everything pre-prepared, and those are what really matters. Like you know where you're probably going to be spawning depending
What?
on what you have and when you're going to be hitting.
Fucking game. I didn't even hear him.
And just as infected, it just feels like you throw stuff at them, and you kind of hope one of them just makes a mistake, and then you can punish that. If they don't make a mistake, you don't win. Like, and the chance of them making a mistake in Left 4 Dead is ridiculous. Like, when they do make a mistake, usually it's not something they could have adapted for. A lot of the time it is, but it just comes up too often, in my opinion, that like you just fucking can't do anything about what happened.
I don't know about that.
In Versus, in my opinion, it does.
I mean, maybe if we're talking about shit like silent jockeys and stuff like that, yeah.
I mean, just all the bugs, the fucking everything about this game is just absolutely ridiculous. So like, spit hitting you in dumb places, it just feels so frustrating. A lot of the time, the ways that you end up getting punished as Survivor. A lot, like it comes up so often in my opinion, that as Survivor, it's like you die and it's like, well, why did I die? Like, I don't fucking know.
all at?
I definitely think you can, like, pinpoint the exact mistake pretty often.
No, that's not my major complaint with it. It's the randomness, though. My major complaint is the boringness is infected.
Yeah, he's not complaining about Survivor side, he's mainly complaining about infected.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I
just-
think Survivor is really fun to play. I like the randomness isn't even that. Like, one of my complaints is that it's not as random because the areas where you're hitting are the same every fucking time, and you're facing that hit and you know how to face that hit. But when it does go wrong, because you're getting hit in an area where, because the way the maps are designed, it's like, well, you're just not going to take any damage for like 90% of the map because infected suck, and they can only take advantage of certain points on the map. So basically, you're going to get to these areas, and the infected need to make a play there, and you know they're going to make a play there, and you're just going to get either fucked or you're not. And obviously, if you're a better team, you're less likely to get fucked. The chance is still there. And as infected, I just hate that you can't do anything in the in-between areas.
Anyone out there?
There's no ways to make a play. You're basically just gonna hit at these set areas, hope they make a mistake, and win on that.
We at the plantation house.
That's my like problem with infected. It's just you're just gonna hit in the same places, the same meta places that you know about, over and over, and you're gonna watch for mistakes, then you're gonna punish the mistakes. It's the infected in this game, playing infected is all about being able to recognize mistakes. I think that's like the biggest skill you can have. Not playmaking. It never is playmaking. It's just noticing a mistake and punishing it, which is much more boring for me than playmaking.
The timings are exactly the same every time. Not necessarily. The main issue is like certain choke points are just so powerful, people aren't willing to give them up to like hit earlier and stuff, and that's why I hate like the fact that like meta strats have become like so prevalent.
But the meta is so strong that it's impossible to veer away from it without just looking like an idiot. Like you're just gonna lose.
Yeah.
The game's not designed in a way where you can't do something surprising, really. Like you like 95% of the time, if you try to go off meta, you're just gonna look like an idiot. Like your hit is gonna fall flat, and their team's gonna be like, "What are they doing?" And all of a sudden, they go right through the choke point because your spawn timer's down, and they just clear the map easily. Like surprise means almost nothing in Left 4 Dead. It's just you're gonna hit at the critical point and hope that because this point is so ridiculous. Because that's how the game's map. It's just you need to have these ridiculous points in the map that you can't control all the factors happening, and someone's gonna make a mistake. Hopefully.
I mean, it's like, you know, okay, if you have the choice between like,
like if you
going for like some, if you have the,
there's gonna be a charger at the top of the coaster. Like you know that for a fact. It's gonna happen. Whether you can do anything about it depends on your team's like skill level and like whatnot. But like you know it's gonna happen, and it's just as
doesn't
likely
have
to work
metas.
as
I don't know about that. Every competitive game has metas.
That's not true, Eurus.
Like that, every competitive game does.
A good competitive game.
You just need balance. You need like you can't. I don't know. You can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the word meta implies that it has a meta. Like, obviously, every competitive game has a meta. I mean, you see the metas in CS:GO. Everyone buys an AK AST. That's a meta. So that's probably a lame one to mention here. But on certain maps, there's strategies you veer towards. It's meta at the start of Inferno to take or to fight for fanatic control. Like that. There's metas across the board on every map, and the thing about CS:GO that makes it neat is that you don't have to follow the meta. You can have a round that's completely fucking like instead of playing a default round. Well, no, it's on every map here. So like every map has like this is what you do standardly. You fight for these areas. You slowly make progress up this way, and you can. The thing about CS:GO that makes it fun is that you as CT, you throw in an early peek, like you push in, you throw in like an op, you push an op up far with a boost or something, and you get a pick, and like you have to always be wary of that, and it's just you can always break the meta in CS:GO. There is a meta, but yeah, in Left 4 Dead you can't break the meta. You can't, otherwise you're.
I don't think you can't, but like it's definitely really strong. Like spit charges, hunt charges, like those are the plays that you generally go for. And if you're not doing that, you're probably going for a fucking quad, like. Like, in regards to infected plays is what I'm talking about. Like, and you're gonna be hitting in the same fucking points. Like, you're not gonna be hitting in...
As Survivor, I think you can break the meta. You can do whatever the fuck you want, almost like do some unique stuff and look cool. But
Well, yeah, like, that's why you can definitely play more aggressive as Survivor.
Yeah, but as Survivor in Left 4 Dead versus,
In comparison to, like,
you can do
playing
unique
really
stuff,
passive.
You can have fun. But as Infected, it's just so boring. Yeah, that's my major complaint. There's no playmaking as Infected. It's just fucking do set strategy and punish mistake.
That shit was too goddamn close.
What's your adrenaline ambulance? Does anyone know?
I can watch the clip.
I think there was, but I'm not sure.
Anyone out there? I'm down. Damn right. Take everything I can. Roads blocked.
Yes, there was one. That and a defib. Do the work.
Pog.
That there sounds like a witch. You all need to kill your lights.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, a good competitive game doesn't like. I think Survivor is fine. Infected is just ass. Like, it's just so boring.
Survivor's fine if you remove tier 2s.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to keep tier 2s, you'd have to make a massive change to Infected, which is fine. But, you know, like, make Infected a billion times stronger and game entirely.
Burning shit coming! Not a damn witches in this place.
I mean, AK is definitely a meta, but I mean, you know what I mean, Yours. A meta is something like people veer towards, and there are tons of metas in CS. Like any good CS, even know that, like, you have to be prepared for the. You just have to know the methods and ways that you can break the meta and be prepared for those too. And that makes CS interesting because it's impossible. There's always going to be holes in what you're doing and holes in and you basically in CS your strategy is going to leave weaknesses behind in terms of getting strengths and kind of hope that you can use the right ones at the right moments.
Where's everyone?
Much more complex than Left 4 Dead in general. Where Left 4 Dead is like, we're on a linear map, we're making our way to the end. Which is fine, actually. Like, it's like a unique concept, right?
That's the one thing that I like about Versus for Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a unique concept.
It's like, I like the idea of, like, you have to move, and, like, you're not...
I'm not even, like, I don't even know how they would fix it.
It's just, I think you need better level design for one.
Yeah, I mean...
I think that's the main thing, is I don't think the levels are very good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they should utilize the map design. It's hard for me to tell, but basically, what they need to do to make Left 4 Dead a viable competitive game is make Infected interesting. If they made Infected more interesting to play, it'd be a much more fun competitive game. A little bit easier to take seriously. Like, as it stands right now, the only rewarding SI in my opinion to play is like Charger.
I know we can do better than that.
and boomer
I
sometimes.
think the thing about Left 4 Dead is it's not necessarily about like it's not rewarding. It's not meant to be rewarding for just
know,
like an individual.
Oh, I just mean like the only
infected.
SI that's like obviously like, the only SI with the potential to do anything or to like do their own thing is Sharp. All the others have to take advantage of mistakes or critical like map areas. Like, they might be able to play make in some certain areas on the map, like Boomer and But I mean, of course, tank. Yeah, I mean the tank fights are probably the best part of versus in my opinion for infected.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's the
Like,
one interesting part.
To me, playing infected is just a waiting room for the tank fights. Like, the tank obviously is a huge playmaker, and then that's the entire like that's the one part of the game that the infected usually have control over. Like the tank spawns, and suddenly the survivors need to go to the S area where they're gonna or X area where they're gonna hold out, and you get to kind of throw hits at them and try what you want. The tank fights are the best part of versus. Outside of the tank fights, it's just so fucking boring. Like, what are you doing? In my opinion, that's why I hate infected, and hence generally don't play versus.
Oh shit, this ain't
Okay.
Go show! Hey, anyone out there?
If he falls off, he can drown us.
Where you all at?
This Smurper's making me fucking nervous.
Or do you, if you're talking like crouch and get below the water to slowly take damage and drown, that's pretty rare in Left 4 Dead without doing it intentionally. There's like some fringe areas where you can take drown damage. Other than when you're in capped. I think you could probably get in capped at this spot and start drowning. And in my experience on Left 4 Dead 2, that only really happens when you're in capped. Pretty rare that you can do it. Just crouch.
Holla back at me, folks!
Fucking Christ, dude. Oh, shit. 2 deaths. Fuck me. God, that was a nerve-wracking ending.
Now we can just have 52 minutes of versus ranting in this video.
Fuck. Yeah, I guess I had like 3 deaths, 3 or 4 in my PB. I don't know. It looked like that, at least. I was like, I was thinking to myself, like, if I get a bad tank or fucking smoker at the end here, like, this is gonna be fucked.
Now I'll go again and beat my.
That was
easy
two,
PB.
yeah, that was 2 deaths. What easy PB?
50-50.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Keep 'em. Ah.